English Daily, the podcast.
Your English journey starts now. Hey, English learners. Welcome back to your podcast, the English Daily Podcast.
Yes, we're so happy to have you here today.
Today's episode is all about why you care so much and how to deal with stress.
That's right, and we're going to make it really practical for you.
So whether you're a beginner or already speaking well, you'll find something useful here.
Let's dive right in. Anna, I've been thinking a lot lately about why we care so much about what other people think of us. Do you ever feel that way?
Oh, absolutely, Jack. I think everyone experiences that, right? I mean, just yesterday, I was about to post a photo on social media, and I must have taken about 20 different versions before I picked one. And then I wondered, does this make me look weird? Is the lighting okay? What will people think?
Oh, I completely relate to that. I've done the exact same thing. It's like we suddenly become these perfectionists who are terrified of judgment. But here's the thing. Most people aren't actually judging us that harshly, are they?
That's the truth. You know what I realized? Most people are too busy worrying about themselves to really notice all the little things we stress about. I remember when I wore an outfit I thought was a bit unusual to work one day, and I was so self-conscious the whole time. But you know what? Nobody really said anything. Maybe one person gave a compliment, but that's it.
Exactly. It's like we build up this mountain in our minds, and then it turns out to be just a tiny molehill. But Anna, why do you think we do this to ourselves? Where does this need for approval come from?
I think it starts really early, honestly. When we're kids, we're constantly seeking validation from our parents and teachers. Did I do good? Is this right? And that makes sense. We need that guidance to learn and grow. But sometimes I think we carry that into adulthood without even realizing it.
That's so true. I remember when I was in school, I was so worried about what my classmates thought of me. I wanted to be liked by everyone, which is impossible, right? Looking back, I wasted so much energy on things that didn't matter at all.
But that's such a common experience, Jack. And you know what's interesting? The people who seem to not care what others think, they're actually not caring. They've just trained themselves to prioritize their own opinion more. It's a skill you can develop.
That's a great point. So it's not that some people are naturally confident and others aren't. It's more like a muscle you can exercise. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. I love that way of thinking about it. It's like building a mental muscle. The more you practice valuing your own judgment, the stronger it gets. And conversely, the more you seek external validation, the weaker your internal compass becomes.
So what are some practical ways we can start caring less about what others think? I'm sure our listeners would love to hear some tips.
Well, one thing that really helped me was asking myself, will this matter in 5 years? Most of the things we stress about, like that awkward moment in a meeting or what a stranger on the internet thinks, really won't matter that much in the long run. It's a great way to put things in perspective.
That's actually really powerful. I need to remember that one. What else?
Another thing is to separate your identity from your actions. Just because you did something doesn't mean that's who you are as a person. You can make mistakes, say the wrong thing, and still be a good person. We're all learning and growing.
You know, Anna, I think I really needed to hear that today. I've been pretty hard on myself lately. I made a mistake at work last week, and I've been beating myself up over it. But you're right, one mistake doesn't define me.
Absolutely not. And honestly, the fact that you care so much shows that you take responsibility seriously. That's actually a good quality. The key is not letting it consume you. Learn from it, move on, and focus on doing better next time.
I love that perspective. Thanks, Anna. I feel better already. Anna, let's talk about stress specifically. I think we all know what stress feels like, but sometimes we don't even realize we're stressed until it hits us hard. Have you ever experienced that?
Definitely. There have been times when I was so stressed out and didn't even realize it until someone pointed it out to me, or I got sick. That's actually when it manifests physically, right? Our bodies try to tell us things before our minds catch up.
That's so true. What are some signs that someone might be stressed without realizing it? I think our listeners would really benefit from knowing what to look for.
Well, for me, the first sign is usually changes in sleep. Either I can't fall asleep because my mind is racing, or I start sleeping too much as a way to escape. Have you experienced that?
Absolutely. When I'm stressed, I'm either waking up at 3 in the morning with a to-do list running through my head, or I just want to sleep forever. It's like my body is trying to shut down.
That's a big red flag. Other signs include changes in appetite. Some people stop eating when they're stressed, while others overeat. Irritability is another big one. Have you ever snapped at someone for no good reason and then realized later you were just really stressed?
Oh, guilty as charged. I've definitely done that. My poor roommate has been on the receiving end of my stress-induced short temper more than once. I always feel bad afterwards.
We all have those moments. Another thing to watch for is difficulty concentrating. If you find yourself staring at the same page for 20 minutes without absorbing anything, that might be stress talking. Procrastination can also be a sign. When we're overwhelmed, sometimes we just freeze and do nothing.
That's interesting. I always thought procrastination was just laziness, but maybe it's actually stress?
It can be. Not always, but often. When the task feels overwhelming or you're afraid of failure, putting it off feels easier in the moment. But then the stress builds because the deadline is still coming. It's a tough cycle to break.
So what can we do about it? How do we break that cycle?
Encouraging. The first step is just awareness. Once you recognize that you're stressed, you can start to address it. I like to do a quick body scan. How are my shoulders? Are they up by my ears? How is my jaw? We hold so much tension in our bodies without realizing it.
A body scan. Can you explain that a bit more?
Sure, it's simple. Just close your eyes and mentally check in with each part of your body, starting from your toes all the way to your head. Notice any tension, pain, or discomfort. Often we're so stressed, we don't even notice we're clenched up until we actively check.
That's actually really helpful. I'm going to try that tonight. What else helps?
Deep breathing is huge. When we're stressed, our breathing becomes shallow and rapid. Deliberately taking slow, deep breaths activates our parasympathetic nervous system, which calms us down. There's this technique called box breathing. Breathe in for 4 counts, hold for 4, breathe out for 4, hold for 4. It works wonders.
I've heard of that. I need to practice it more consistently. I always forget about breathing until I'm already in the middle of a panic.
That's totally normal. The key is to build these habits before you need them. It's like exercising. You don't wait until you're sick to start being healthy. Practice when you're calm, so it's easier to access when you're stressed.
That's such a good analogy. I think I tend to wait until I'm already overwhelmed to try to fix things, which makes it so much harder.
But the fact that you're aware of it now means you can start making changes. That's the most important first step.
Anna, I've been thinking about this connection between caring too much about what others think and feeling anxious. They seem really linked, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. I think a lot of anxiety actually comes from this place of caring too much about outcomes, about impressions, about whether we're good enough. It's like our brain is trying to protect us by anticipating all possible negative outcomes, but sometimes it goes into overdrive.
That's so true. I've definitely had times when my brain would just spiral. I think about a presentation I had to give, and then I'd imagine messing up, everyone laughing at me, getting fired, and somehow that would lead to being homeless. It sounds ridiculous when I say it out loud, but in the moment, it feels completely real.
Oh my gosh, I love that you said that because I've done the exact same thing. It's like our brains are these amazing prediction machines, but sometimes they predict the most unlikely disaster scenarios. And the crazy part is, we actually believe them in the moment.
Why do you think our brains do that? Is it some kind of evolutionary thing?
It really is. Our ancestors needed to be hyper aware of dangers to survive. If they missed a predator in the grass, they might get eaten. So our brains evolved to be on high alert for threats. But in modern life, most of our threats aren't actual physical dangers. Public speaking won't kill us, even though it feels terrifying. Getting a bad grade won't result in death, even though we treat it like it will.
That's such an important perspective. It's like our nervous system is still living in the caveman days, but our environment has changed. We're fighting lions that aren't really there.
Exactly. Once you understand that, it becomes a bit easier to recognize when your anxiety is being irrational. You can almost laugh at it, not in a dismissive way, but in a, oh, my brain is just doing its old trick again kind of way.
Curious, so how do we actually calm that down? How do we tell our brains to chill out?
One really effective technique is called cognitive defusion. It's this idea from acceptance and commitment therapy. Instead of fusing with your thoughts and believing them completely, you learn to observe them from a distance. Like, instead of thinking, I'm going to fail, you think, I'm having the thought that I'm going to fail.
That sounds a bit weird, but I think I get it. It's like you're separating yourself from the thought rather than being the thought.
Exactly, you've got it. And it sounds simple, but it can be really powerful. Another thing that helps is asking yourself, is this thought helpful right now? If you're catastrophizing about something that might happen, that's not helpful. It's just adding stress without changing anything.
You know, I think I really needed to hear this. I've been letting my anxiety run the show lately, and I didn't even realize I had tools to push back.
We all do it, Jack. The good news is that once you start noticing these patterns, you can change them. It's not about eliminating anxiety entirely, that would be unrealistic, but about not letting it control your life.
That's really reassuring, and I think our listeners will find that helpful too. So it's not about being fearless, but about not letting fear call the shots.
Exactly. You've summarized it perfectly.
Anna, let's get practical. We've talked about understanding stress and anxiety, but what are some actual strategies we can use when we're in the middle of feeling overwhelmed? I want to give our listeners things they can do right away.
That's such a great question. Let me think of some really practical ones. The first one is actually super simple. Movement. When we're stressed, our bodies go into this freeze response, and moving helps shake it off. It doesn't have to be a full workout or anything. Even just standing up and stretching or taking a quick walk around the block can make a huge difference.
I love that. I always feel better after I go for a run. Even when I really didn't want to go at first, it's like I always thank myself afterwards.
That's so true. Our bodies are designed to move, and when we don't, all that stress hormone energy has nowhere to go. It's like revving a car engine without actually driving. You gotta use it up somehow.
What else? What are some other quick strategies?
Another one is the 5-4-3-2-1 technique for anxiety. It's a grounding exercise. You name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. It pulls you out of your head and back into the present moment.
Oh, I've heard of that. It's like the opposite of spiraling. Instead of going deeper into your worried thoughts, you're pulling yourself back to what's actually around you right now.
Exactly. It's really helpful for panic attacks or those moments when you feel like you're losing control. It reminds your brain that you're safe right now in this moment.
What about when you're stressed about something that hasn't happened yet, like anticipatory anxiety?
That's a tough one. One thing that helps is to focus on what you can control and let go of what you can't. I like to ask myself, is this within my control right now? If not, I try to postpone worrying about it. I'll say to myself, I'll think about this on Sunday at noon, some specific future time. And then I write it down so I don't forget. It sounds weird, but it works.
That's such an interesting trick. It's like you're scheduling your worry. I love that.
Another thing is to limit your exposure to stress triggers. If scrolling on social media makes you feel bad about yourself, maybe take a break. If certain news outlets make you anxious, unsubscribe. You don't have to subject yourself to constant stress.
That's a good point. I've been trying to check the news less often because it just fills me with worry about things I can't control. It's been helping a lot.
That's really smart. And don't underestimate the power of talking to someone. Sometimes we keep everything inside and it builds up. Just venting to a friend can be so cathartic. You don't even need them to solve your problems. Sometimes you just need to be heard.
What if you don't have someone to talk to? I know some people might feel isolated.
That's a valid concern. There are options like hotlines or online support groups, and honestly, journaling can be a great substitute. Writing down your thoughts helps process them, even if no one else reads it. It's like talking to yourself, but more organized.
I love that image. I'll have to try that. I haven't journaled since I was a kid, but maybe it's time to start again.
There's no wrong way to do it. Sometimes I just write, I'm stressed and I don't know why, and that's enough to start. The important thing is just to get it out of your head.
These are all such practical tips. I think our listeners are going to get a lot of value from this. And I think there's also a deeper level to dealing with stress, and that's about our mindset and how we see things. Like, we can use all these coping techniques, but if our underlying perspective is unhealthy, we'll keep running into the same problems. What do you think?
That's such a profound point, Jack. You're absolutely right. It's like treating the symptom versus treating the root cause. The techniques we talked about are great for managing stress in the moment, but if we want lasting change, we need to shift how we think about things.
Can you give some examples of what you mean? What are some unhealthy mindsets that lead to stress?
One common one is perfectionism, the belief that anything less than perfect is unacceptable. But here's the thing, perfect doesn't exist, and the pursuit of perfection is just a endless hamster wheel that keeps you running without ever arriving.
That hits close to home. I've always been a perfectionist, and it's exhausting. I never feel satisfied with my work because there's always something I could have done better.
I totally understand. What helped me was shifting from this has to be perfect to this is good enough for now. It's not about lowering your standards. It's about recognizing that done is better than perfect. You can always improve later, but first, you need to let it exist in the world.
That's a really helpful reframe. What are some other unhealthy mindsets?
Another one is the belief that you have to please everyone. I used to think I had to say yes to every request, otherwise people would think badly of me. But you know what? You can't please everyone, and trying to is just a recipe for burnout. It's okay to say no.
I've definitely learned that the hard way. There was a time when I said yes to everything, and I was spread so thin I couldn't enjoy anything. Now I'm much more selective, and I actually feel better.
That's such an important lesson. Another mindset is catastrophizing, always assuming the worst case scenario. Like we talked about earlier, our brains love to predict disasters, but most of the time, things turn out fine, or at least not as bad as we imagined.
Is there a healthier way to think about potential problems?
One approach is to ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen, and could I survive it? Usually the answer is yes. Even if something goes wrong, you can handle it. You're stronger than you think.
That's such a good reminder. We often underestimate our ability to cope with challenges.
We really do. Another mindset shift is to focus on progress rather than perfection. Celebrate small wins. Did you do something today, even if it wasn't everything you planned? That's still progress. You don't have to cross off your entire to-do list to have a good day.
I love that. I'm definitely guilty of only focusing on what I didn't do rather than what I did. That's something I need to work on.
We all do, and being aware of it is the first step. Another thing that's helped me is practicing gratitude. I know it sounds a bit cliche, but it really does shift your perspective. When you intentionally notice the good things in your life, it's harder to get stuck in negativity.
How do you practice gratitude in a practical way?
Some people write in a gratitude journal every morning or night. Others just take a moment to think of 3 good things about their day. It doesn't have to be complicated. The key is consistency. Doing it even for a few weeks can start to rewire how you see the world.
I'm going to try that. It seems simple enough that I can't have an excuse not to do it.
That's the spirit. Small habits add up over time. And remember, it's not about being positive all the time. That's unrealistic. It's just about balance, acknowledging the hard things while also recognizing the good.
That's a really healthy way to look at it. I think sometimes we feel like we have to choose between being realistic and being positive, but it doesn't have to be either or.
Exactly. It's not about fake happiness or ignoring real problems. It's about having a more complete view of reality. And that leads to less stress in the long run.
Anna, let's talk about self-care. I feel like that term gets thrown around a lot, but what does it actually mean? And more importantly, how do we create routines that actually stick?
Great question. I think self-care is often misunderstood as being selfish or indulgent, but really it's about maintaining your mental and emotional health so you can show up as your best self. It's not luxury, it's necessity.
So what are the key elements of good self-care? What should people be focusing on?
There's this model that breaks it down into different areas. Physical self-care is important, sleep, exercise, eating well, but emotional self-care is equally important. Things that bring you joy, creative outlets, time alone if you're introverted, or connection if you're extroverted.
What about when life gets busy and we don't have time for self-care? That's when it tends to get dropped first, right?
That's so true, and it's actually backwards. When we're busiest is when we need self-care the most. That's why I like to think of it as non-negotiable, like brushing your teeth. You don't skip that because you're too busy, right? Same with self-care.
That's a really good analogy. So how do we make it stick? How do we actually build these habits instead of just talking about them?
One key is to start really small. Don't commit to an hour of meditation every day if you've never meditated. Start with 2 minutes, or commit to 1 walk a week. Small wins build momentum, and momentum builds habits.
What about when we slip up? We all have days when we don't do our self-care routine. How do we handle that without beating ourselves up?
Oh, this is so important. Don't make it a big deal. Just start again tomorrow. The goal isn't perfection, it's consistency over time. One missed day isn't a failure, it's just one day. What matters is getting back on track.
That's something I struggle with. When I miss one day of my routine, I tend to just give up entirely. I think, well, I already failed, so why bother?
That's called the what the hell effect in psychology. You slip up once, feel bad about it, and then figure you might as well go all in on bad behavior. But the trick is to just let it go. Don't assign moral value to it. You didn't fail as a person, you just didn't do the thing today.
That's such a helpful reframe. I need to remember that. What about finding the right type of self-care? How do we know what works for us?
Experiment. Not everything works for everyone. Some people find yoga relaxing, while others find it stressful. Some love journaling, others hate it. Try different things and notice what actually leaves you feeling better. Pay attention to what fills your cup versus what drains it.
What are some of your personal favorite self-care practices?
Oh, I love so many. Reading is huge for me. It's my escape. I also really enjoy long showers or baths where I just have quiet time. And walking in nature is incredibly centering for me. Even just 10 minutes outside can shift my whole mood.
I should try that. I spend so much time indoors in front of screens. Getting outside more is definitely something I need to work on.
Even sitting by a window with natural light helps. And don't underestimate the power of saying no to things that drain you. Sometimes self-care is about protecting your time and energy, not just adding positive activities.
That's such an important point. Self-care isn't just about what you do, it's also about what you don't do. Setting boundaries is a form of self-care.
Absolutely. And that can be one of the hardest parts, honestly, learning to say no without guilt. But it's so necessary for your mental health.
I'm definitely still working on that one, but I'm getting better. Thanks for all these great insights, Anna.
Of course, Jack. This has been such a good conversation. I feel like we covered a lot of ground.
All right, Anna. Now let's dive into some of the useful vocabulary from today's episode. I think our listeners will really benefit from breaking these down.
Absolutely. Let's go through some key phrases. First up, to care too much. What does that mean, Jack?
So, to care too much means to put too much emotional investment in something, often to the point where it causes you stress. Like caring about what others think is normal, but when it starts affecting your happiness, that's caring too much.
Can you give an example?
Sure. I care too much about my grades. I stay up all night studying and then stress out if I don't get an A.
Great. Next phrase, to deal with stress. This is super common. It means to handle or cope with stress. Like, how do you deal with stress? What are some ways we can answer that?
You could say, I deal with stress by going for a run, or I deal with stress by talking to my friends. It's a really useful phrase for everyday conversation.
Next one, to be under pressure. This means to feel stress from external expectations or demands, like, I'm under pressure to finish this project by Friday.
That's really common in workplace contexts. What about to feel overwhelmed?
To feel overwhelmed means to feel unable to cope because you have too much to handle. You might say, I feel overwhelmed with all this work. It's a great phrase for expressing when things feel too much.
I use that one a lot. Next is to take something to heart.
To take something to heart means to let something affect you emotionally, often in a negative way. Like, if someone criticizes you and you take it to heart, you keep thinking about it and feeling bad. It can be useful to remind yourself not to take things too personally.
That's a great one. What about to let go?
To let go means to stop holding on to something, a thought, a grudge, a worry. Like, I need to let go of my anxiety about what others think. It's such an important concept for stress management.
That's definitely something we talked about today. Next phrase is to blow something out of proportion.
That means to make something seem more important or serious than it actually is. Like, you're blowing this out of proportion. It's not that big a deal. It's a useful phrase for helping people see when they're overreacting.
I love that phrase. What about to be on edge?
To be on edge means to feel nervous, anxious, or tense. You might say, I've been on edge all week because of my exams. It describes that feeling of being slightly stressed or irritable.
That's a great one. What about to chill out?
To chill out is an informal way to say relax or calm down. Like, you need to chill out. It's not worth getting stressed about. It's very common in spoken English.
Next one is to have a lot on one's plate.
That means to have a lot of responsibilities or tasks to handle. Like, I can't take on more work right now. I already have a lot on my plate. It's a really useful idiom for expressing busyness.
That's perfect for talking about being busy. What about to feel burnt out?
To feel burnt out means to feel exhausted and unable to continue because of prolonged stress. Like, I feel burnt out from working so much. It's a serious term that indicates you need to take a break.
That's an important one to recognize. What about to breathe or take a breath?
To take a breath or to breathe means to pause and calm yourself. Like, take a breath before you respond. It's often used in stressful moments to remind someone to relax.
Very practical. What about to lose sleep over something?
That means to worry so much that it affects your sleep. Like, don't lose sleep over that test. You'll do fine. It's a great phrase for telling someone not to worry.
I definitely lose sleep over things sometimes. What about to work through something?
To work through something means to deal with a problem or emotion by processing it, often over time. Like, I'm working through my anxiety by going to therapy. It implies active effort to overcome something.
That's a great phrase. What about to bounce back?
To bounce back means to recover from a difficult situation. Like, she's been through a lot, but she always bounces back. It's an optimistic phrase about resilience.
That's such an encouraging phrase. What about to put things in perspective?
To put things in perspective means to see a situation more clearly, often by comparing it to something more significant. Like, getting a bad grade isn't fun, but put it in perspective, it's not the end of the world. It helps reduce stress by minimizing the importance of something.
That's the phrase I mentioned earlier. What about to have second thoughts?
To have second thoughts means to start doubting a decision or to reconsider something. Like, I had second thoughts about accepting that job offer. It's useful for talking about uncertainty.
Totally. What about to make a mountain out of a molehill?
That means to make a small problem seem much bigger and more important than it actually is. Like, you're making a mountain out of a molehill. It's really not that serious. It's a colorful idiom that's great for describing when someone is overreacting.
We definitely talked about that concept. What about to take a load off?
To take a load off means to relax or rest, especially after working hard. Like, you've been working so hard. Come on in and take a load off. It's an invitation to relax.
That's such a friendly phrase. What about to be at one's wit's end?
to be at one's wit's end means to be extremely frustrated or upset because you've tried everything and don't know what to do. Like, I'm at my wit's end with this problem. It's a strong phrase for describing extreme stress.
That's a powerful one. What about to keep things in check?
To keep things in check means to control or restrain something. Like, I need to keep my stress in check. It implies active management of your emotions or situation.
That's a great phrase for self-regulation. What about to be good for something?
That's a fun one. To be good for something, it means to be useful or helpful for a particular purpose. Like, walking is good for stress relief. You can also say good for you to mean beneficial.
I love that phrase. And our last one, to come to terms with something.
To come to terms with something, it means to accept a difficult situation or truth over time. Like, it took me a long time to come to terms with my anxiety. It's about reaching a place of acceptance.
That's such an important concept, especially for dealing with stress. Thanks for breaking all these down, Anna.
Of course, these are all such useful phrases for everyday conversation about stress and mental health.
All right, Anna, let's finish up with some reflection questions for our listeners. These are questions for you to think about after the episode, or even discuss with friends.
I'm excited about these. Let's go through them together.
First question, what is one thing you care too much about that doesn't really matter in the long run?
That's a great question to start with. Maybe it's what strangers think of you, or a small mistake you made, or what clothes you're wearing. Think about it.
Second question, how does stress usually show up in your body? Do you get headaches, tight shoulders, stomach problems?
This is such an important question for self-awareness. Knowing your physical signs of stress is the first step to managing it.
Third question, what's one coping strategy you already use that works well for you?
Maybe it's exercise, talking to a friend, listening to music, or something else. Celebrate what's already working.
Fourth question, what is one new coping strategy from today's episode that you'd like to try?
We talked about so many. Maybe it's the 5-4-3-2-1 technique, or journaling, or scheduling your worry time.
Fifth question, are there any unhealthy mindsets you notice in yourself, like perfectionism or catastrophizing?
This requires some honest self-reflection. Just noticing these patterns is the first step to changing them.
Sixth question, how can you start practicing more self-care in your daily routine even when you're busy?
Remember, it doesn't have to be big. Even 2 minutes of something counts.
Seventh question, who is someone you can talk to when you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed?
Having that support system is so important. If you don't have someone now, consider reaching out to a counselor or a support group.
Eighth question, what's one thing you can let go of today? What worry or burden can you release?
This is a powerful question. Sometimes we hold on to things long past when they're useful.
Ninth question, how can you remind yourself that most people aren't judging you as harshly as you think?
Maybe it's through journaling, talking to friends, or just remembering that everyone is focused on their own lives.
Last question, what's your definition of success for today? What does a good day look like for you beyond achievements?
This is a great one for perspective. Success isn't just about productivity. It's also about well-being and happiness.
Wow, we covered a lot today, didn't we, Anna?
We really did. I feel like we went deep into understanding stress, why we care too much, and how to deal with it all.
What was your biggest takeaway?
I think for me, it's remembering that caring less about what others think is a skill I can practice, not something I'm just born with. And also the importance of self-care as non-negotiable, not optional.
Those are great takeaways. Mine is probably the will this matter in 5 years question. That's going to be my new tool for putting things in perspective.
I love that. And I hope our listeners found something useful too.
Remember, dealing with stress is a journey, not a destination. Be patient with yourself, celebrate small wins, and keep practicing.
And thank you so much for joining us today, English learners. We really appreciate you spending your time with us.
Yes, keep practicing your English, keep working on yourselves, and we'll see you next time.
Bye for now.
Take care, everyone.
Your learning journey doesn't stop here. Keep improving your English. Click the next video or explore more episodes we've picked just for you. See you in the next lesson.